Okay guys, so this video I'm just going to break down the computer science program for your degree. So I'm a current computer science student at ISU. I'm a senior student. So this video is basically targeted towards if you're going into computer science and you want to know what classes you're going to take, or if you're trying to make that decision, if you want to do the software development program, computer science program at a university. And a lot of questions is, what are the classes, how difficult it's going to be, what am I going to learn, is it worth it? So hopefully that answers a lot of these questions here. So big question always is math. What math classes are you going to take? So this is a list of the math courses that I've had to take. I still got a couple that I'm finishing up this year. I might be one of those people that I have to take more math classes because I wasn't caught up in high school. Let's just put it that way. So a lot of you guys might already have college algebra, trigonometry, and maybe even calculus out of the way when you get to college. So I didn't, so I had to take those. I had to take Calc 2. I'm taking Discrete Math right now, and I still have to take statistics. So I can tell you, calculus, it's okay. When you get to Calculus 2, it gets a little bit more heavy coursework. You just find a good teacher, and you'll be okay. Got through that, and then Discrete Math, known as the GPA killer. It's pretty rough with the proofing. Proofing is you just got to put a lot of work and practice in it. There's probability. It's a different type of math because you're used to the algebra, trigonometry, and all this blending together and kind of being the same stuff. Obviously, you're taking derivatives and antiderivatives and just adding application problems in calculus too. But discrete math is a lot different. There's a lot of probability and counting, and just a totally different type of math. So the proofing is tough. So that's a list of the math courses that you're mostly likely going to have to take at a university for a computer science program. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. It's just hard work, perseverance. You might have to take, with a lot of these majors, you might have to take a class over. You might just try to find the good professors. Use Rate My Professor. That's a good tip. So here's the computer science courses that I've listed here. These are, I don't want to say all of them, but these are all the main ones that you'll hear of and that you're going to usually have at your university. So database, you're usually going to do a database class, or you will, database processing. So we did MySQL, so that was an easy class. I mean, it was kind of boring for some parts, but it is cool to see how a database is, almost looking like an Excel spreadsheet, and just how do you access the data that's in here. Basically doing queries. We used MySQL and just doing queries and getting certain database from the table, creating tables, joining tables, things like that. So you'll definitely have one of those classes. So operating systems, I meant to kind of put a star or something by the tough ones, but yeah, operating systems is one of the known tough classes to take. You're usually going to use a low-level programming language. The one that we're using is C. So C is a known programming language for robotics and hardware and low-level stuff. So it's used for memory allocation. It has pointers and things like that. So it's a little bit more code and a little bit more complicated than I would say Java, as far as getting to that low-level stuff. So operating systems, you'll learn about multi-programming threads, how the CPU is loading processes or applications into RAM, the memory, things like that, but not too bad. Object-oriented, so you're just going to take a lot of most likely object-oriented programming. Most of the universities and even community colleges are doing Java. That's a popular language, or C++. I've heard some doing Python. Python is an easy programming language to start out in. Java, you're going to learn a lot. C++, there's pointers and stuff. I feel like Java is the favorite one, or Python. So data structures, you're most likely going to have an intro class. So they're going to introduce you into arrays. You might already learn that in your object-oriented class or your intro to programming, which I did in my case, but they'll probably build off arrays, an array list, linked list, trees, binary search trees, hash maps. You'll definitely be introduced into stacks and queues, and they're not so bad. Advanced data structures, that's one of the classes I'm taking now. So, of course, most of my programming classes, I use Java. I've taken many classes using Java, I'd say about 4 or 5 by now. This one, the advanced one, it's a little bit more, it builds off the intro, and for some reason this class is making me use C++, so I do have to learn another language. But yeah, this one's pretty tough. And then advanced, we already talked about that one, web development. So that was an elective that I chose, but for my program it isn't required. But I definitely advise you to take a web development course. You'll learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and in my course I used MySQL for the database and then Java for the logic in the middle to do all the processing, and use JDBC, which JDBC is just a library of Java that allows you to communicate and do queries to your database. And then IT ethics. Usually you're going to have an ethics class in there somewhere. And then network data communication. So usually you're going to have a networking class, which is usually pretty interesting and fun. So you're going to go over the topologies, the protocols, the network layer. You're going to talk about routers and switches, things like that. Computer theory, I haven't taken a lot yet, but I've heard it's one of the toughest classes. So I'll make another video and let you guys know how that goes. Principles of software engineering, that is usually going to talk about it's talking about like the real world. I mean, when in real world you just don't sit down and start coding. You're going to go through the software development lifecycle, which is a lot of planning. That's my dog, sorry. So you're going to go through a lot of planning, documentation, and diagramming. So you're going to you're going to go through that software development lifecycle. You're going to go through the planning stage and diagramming, coming up with ideas, brainstorming, how you're going to go through meetings, which type of methodology, I can't say that word, but you're going to have, usually you're going to use the agile principles. So you're going to talk about agile. And then you're going to talk about testing and how it all works together and how the big overview of that. And then mobile app development. Usually that might have been an elective, I'm not for sure, but I did Android app development using Android Studio. We created an alarm clock. I wish I would have dipped into iOS. That would be a fun one. That's a fun class. Concepts of programming compilers. So that class I haven't taken yet. But yeah, it's called Concepts of Programming, but you might hear it as compilers. And it's a really low level class and it's tough, from what I've heard. So I'd say the toughest ones you're going to take are the compilers class, the theory class, and these are both classes I haven't taken, but I've just heard from other students. And then the advanced data structures is going to be pretty complex. All these other ones are actually pretty fun. I enjoyed them. These, I would say, starts getting pretty rough at Calc 2, just being a lot of work. And it depends on how hard your tests are. Because the homework, you might be able to understand it, go through it. The lectures, you might be able to understand. But if they give you tricky tests where you really have to understand the material, that one is going to be, you're going to struggle a little bit. Discrete math, same thing. It gets pretty tough with the proofing. You could probably get a lot of points from your homework and the other easier topics in that course. And of course, you're going to have to take your sciences, chemistry. I've taken a chemistry, a psychology, and 2 biologies. So those are the science. I had to choose 4. Universities might be different. You might have to take a physics. But yeah, that's about it. Let me know if you guys have any more questions. I'm just trying to give back and help to other people who are, deciding if they want to do computer science or software development. But hopefully that helps you guys out. Thanks.